Good day, Jeremigos. This is King Bob, the producer of the Jira Life, and I am sitting down here with Justin Reock. He is the field CTO for DX, and those of us in the Atlassian blogosphere or Atlassian ecosystem should understand the letters DX because as of now, it is replacing Compass. And so, Justin, pleasure to meet with you.
Thanks so much, Bob. Happy to be here.
Yes. So, one thing that I'm going to ask of you is that today's keynote that Mike gave, very, very heavy on teamwork graph.
Sure.
Right? Something conspicuous from it was any mention of DX. So, being the nice guys that we are, I want to give you your keynote moment. If you were to give the keynote for DX with of course obviously within the realm of Atlassian, after all they paid for it, right?
Sure.
Right. Give that keynote speech. What would you say to the thousands of people that are sitting there in that theater?
Yeah, so DX is a research-backed platform for measuring developer experience, which we believe is the leading indicator for developer productivity in an organization.
Okay.
We tend to look at developer experience as more of a systems problem than a people problem. And so we gather qualitative signals directly from engineers, of which we get very high signal-to-noise. Almost half of our customers get 100% participation rates on the surveys that we send, and the majority of them, the rest of them get within a 92 to 98% sort of range, because we're asking very psychologically safe questions and really giving developers a voice in being able to talk about what the experience of being a developer is like within an organization. The research-driven part of this is that we work directly with researchers like, for instance, Dr. Nicole Forsgren, who was the inventor of the DORA metrics.
Yeah, she wrote Accelerate with...
She wrote Accelerate with Jez Humble and Gene Kim, and then most recently Frictionless with Abhinoda, with our CEO and co-founder, as well as Margaret Ann Story, Peggy Story, a friend and mentor of mine who also was the primary author on the Space Framework, along with Nicole Forsgren. And then Abhi, our CEO co-founder, who worked on the DevX framework, also with Dr. Forsgren, and also with Peggy Story, with Margaret Ann Story. So 3 separate metric frameworks, way too much to try to navigate.
Yeah.
So we distill all 3 of those metrics into a single framework called the Core 4. So that if you're doing Core 4, you're doing DORA, you're doing Space, and you're doing DevX. And we effectively built a product around that to be able to gather and then present the signals that we get according to those metric frameworks. Now, of course, over the last year, we've all been disrupted. Everybody wants to know, what is AI's impact on the developer experience? What is AI's impact on developer productivity? We burnt $10 million in tokens. Like, what are we getting for that investment? And so DX has a complementary metric framework now, the DX AI measurement framework, which is also baked into the tool and gives us the ability to gather telemetry and signals from the tools themselves and be able to then cross-reference those to our core and foundational productivity metrics to give people an idea of, like, are we actually shipping more value? You know, are we actually optimizing our use of tokens and all these other things?
So it sounds like the tools, based on the 2 frameworks that you talked about, you could actually be collecting the data and it could then be indexable by Teamwork Graph for use and ingestion in other tools.
I think they're very complementary. I mean, a lot of my foundation and sort of theory around productivity theory is rooted in things like the theory of constraints, value stream mapping, the system of profound knowledge, statistical process control, and sort of all these things. But if you look at Teamwork Graph, if you really look at what it is, right? I mean, it is kind of like a dynamic, real-time representation of the way that value flows through an organization.
Yes.
So I think you could see it as even an iteration or an evolution of what we would think about as a traditional value stream. And being able to get the system metrics that are part of that tell us, and the qualitative signals that are part of the story of the friction and the bottlenecks and the toil and everything like that, that's involved in that value stream is a lot of the data that you get out of DX.
Yeah.
So I think that it really helps us create a higher resolution picture when we combine something like Teamwork Graph with the data and signals that we're able to pull from DX, with the purpose in this case of being able to continuously improve the efficiency of that graph, the efficiency of the value stream, making sure that we're reducing friction, toil for engineers, other bottlenecks.
Right, because now you can you have the data, and then you have a possible linkage to the inference, why the why it's
Absolutely.
it's
I mean,
happening,
the
or
qualitative
evidence.
signals, 100%. The qualitative signals will give us this really nice context. Oh, developers think that our builds are too long. They take too long to complete, or that our test suites are flaky, right, and things like that. But then being able to provide the system metrics alongside that allows us to validate those qualitative signals and then actually do something about it, like find something where engineering leaders can then continuously improve the developer experience, and by way of that, providing more productivity for the organization.
Yep.
So I think it's it made a lot of sense for a company like Atlassian, who has been focused on team productivity, the harder problems, which is the way that we view things too in DX. I mean, to be clear, I know that developer productivity can sound very scary depending on who's talking about it and who's saying it.
Right.
But for us, again, focusing on the reframe of developer experience as a systems problem. We never stack rank the individual developer. You can't even do that in the tool. It's impossible.
Right.
This is all about looking for team level output and team level productivity, which is, of course, much more psychologically safe, helps us with things like Goodhart's Law, and ultimately gives us a more realistic picture of what's going on anyway.
So one of the things that surprised me about DX was that Atlassian had announced last month that Compass was approaching end of service life, and replacing it was DX. DX was going to be the new tool as far as developer productivity. So I'm kind of wondering about your reaction to that.
Well, I would say that DX is not, I mean, the entire suite taken together is certainly a tool for measuring developer experience and productivity. But let's be clear, like Compass and some of the other players like Backstage and Cortex and things like that. And I was at Cortex for a year, so I have a unique kind of perspective on this space. And I knew the original developers at Backstage and have followed that project for a long time. An internal developer portal is a tool. Okay. Right? It's a way to, I think, help engineers organize their work, understand, and reduce some of the cognitive load and toil involved in really just understanding what they should be doing in any given day and how they should be prioritizing kind of their individual work. So I think it is a tool. To be honest, it was something that we really went back and forth within DX about, like, do we go into this space? Like, there are parts about IDPs that are sort of unproven. Like, do we really know that we're like, and I think what was interesting for DX, and where we had a bit of an advantage, frankly, was that where a lot of these tools had started with sort of like building this portal and then trying to derive engineering intelligence metrics and things like that, from the tool, we took the opposite approach. We said, well, let's look at engineering intelligence first. Let's look at all these signals coming right from the developers, and then let's see if we can really isolate like sources of fatigue and suboptimal cognitive load spend and things like that. And then let's build a catalog around that, isolating down to use cases that we think are actually like truly and with data going to benefit the developer. So I think then, of course, when we came into the Atlassian stack, we're like, we have this Compass product. We don't want to be supporting necessarily two sort of competing products that are in the IDP space. And it's not like Compass is just like going away. I mean, like the best parts of Compass are going to be built into what we have in terms of our catalog and our scorecards and our developer self-service and everything
there
like
is
that.
apparently a migration or an upgrade path. If you're a current custom
to be clear,
user customer, you're still going to have that background data, and it's just from however long you've had it, and it's just going to be absorbed or migrated over into DX.
We're very cognizant of that there was a lean into Compass, that you have people who have now like rolled this solution out. So as we make this transition, I think we want to make this as seamless as possible for organizations that have already invested in Compass, and make sure that they're not missing any functionality, make sure that the parts of Compass that they were using, that they liked, are going to be available inside of what we're calling Fabric, the DX product.
Okay. Anything? Okay. No. Don't get yourself fired. That's what we say. That's what we say here. Don't get yourself fired. But is there anything that you could hint at as far as the future of DX?
I think a few things.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think 2024 was the year that everybody got a coding assistant, and kind of in that vein, we then said, all right, well, let's have parts of DX that integrate with the telemetry APIs from these tools and make sure that we're able to understand like who's using what, so that, as I mentioned before, kind of cross-reference these to our foundational productivity metrics, and that was fine. And in 2025, everybody got agents, right?
Yep.
And we started building agents, and so like, all right, well, let's start thinking, let's bake into our measurement framework, like human equivalent hours and tasks and things that are being completed by agents that we don't have to have completed by a human. 2026 is the year of reckoning where we're all figuring out that our infrastructure wasn't ready for any of this, and that most of organizations, do not have strong AI readiness, that it's difficult for them to ingest context in an optimal way. And all of this is related to token spend and the efficient use of AI.
Yeah, it's basically kind of the infrastructure is kind of swinging back and forth as far as
we've been here
before.
Adopt
AI, do we not adopt it? Just kind of
totally. And when we've been here before, we were here with container orchestration and things like that, cloud, 15 years ago, all that sort of thing. So we've seen some of these broader patterns kind of like play out before. So now we are in the business of really trying to help organizations, first of all, understand their AI readiness.
Okay.
So within the scorecard component of Fabric, we have an AI readiness scorecard now that kind of comes out of the box. It looks suspiciously like the same things you would look for a good developer experience. This is like modular code, which is a whole other irony that I could talk
AI
about.
is just another developer, right?
Well, in some ways, certainly. And I think maybe the better statement is that what's good for humans is also good for agents.
Yeah.
Now, as somebody who's been clawing at the developer experience space and really trying to get engineering leaders to care about these investments for a decade, it's a little bit of an irony that I've come to grips with, that finally we're going to start caring about these things we've been preaching about for the last decade because we're making these massive investments in AI.
Right.
So we want to be able to help organizations on the front end, make sure that they're ready, that their platforms are ready to work with agents as efficiently as possible and to get the right kind of outputs with little feedback. On the flip side, we have this new thing that we launched a couple of weeks ago called Agent Experience, which is just what it sounds like. So we're sending qualitative surveys to engineers and getting high signal to noise. Guess what we're doing? Upon commit, we send a survey to an agent, and we ask the agent to answer questions about the human agent steering component of that session. How easy was it for the agent to absorb context? And we come up with an agent experience score. So we're actually trying to gauge now, from more of an experience sampling perspective, how efficiently is the platform interacting with the agent? How efficiently are the humans interacting with the agent?
And so
it's wild.
And that's really, really interesting, because then that kind of drives, that might give you realization in what might be causing hallucinations.
Yep.
How to adjust that context window.
That's the most important thing, how to continuously improve it.
Yep.
None of these metrics matter if they're not being used as anchors for cycles of continuous improvement within the organization. You can have all the metrics you want on a dashboard. If you're not using them to prioritize fixes, prioritize improvements, make data-driven decisions about the developer experience and ultimately the productivity outcomes, you may as well not even really be capturing the data at all. So that is very much the point. But we're seeing interesting use cases. I'm using it in my own instance just as almost like a Fitbit for working with AI. How is my prompting? Could I make this better? Because absolutely we associate a higher agent experience and a better agent experience with more optimal token usage and all the things that we're going to really have to care about,
right.
This year. So that's a new feature. That one's public. I would say we're going to keep kind of marching in that direction, as we see what we see kind of over the given year. I mean, anybody who tells you that they know what they're going to be doing a year from now is, but I think that we've always done a really good job of being able to, keep pace with what the industry is doing and making sure that we're helping organizations provide as much value as they can as the landscape kind of continues to shift underneath our feet. We have an AI Insights capability now too, which is a very lightweight, open source, if you need the source code, it's fine. Daemon for actually capturing things like file system level heuristics and making hooks into the frontier APIs like Claude and Copilot and things like that to try to understand the percentage of code that's being generated by AI. I think that that's going to be a very interesting metric for people as well. And I think that this is going to be the big year of orchestration. I hate to put it in terms of Kubernetes for agents, but that's kind of where we're going with this now. And so we're going to have to start thinking about what metrics constitute a good orchestration, and how can we help in that area as well.
How to make reliable, probably, if we think of MCP servers and clients becoming the new API
to a degree,
gateways, you want to understand the rates of going through those servers and clients.
That's certainly part of it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's still always about how value flows to the organizations. First principles have never been more important. We can't lose sight of that is still the goal here, right? But yes, absolutely. As we watch new use cases, new ways of orchestrating, and new ways of sort of architecting our platforms to optimize the way that we're using AI, that AI can help us to create value, we will be there alongside with the right metrics and the right signals to guide leaders towards better decision making.
All right. Well, thank you for appearing with us, and tune in for more videos from the Jira Life as we are here in Anaheim for Team 26. Signing off, this is King Bob, the producer, saying, I didn't choose the Jira Life chose me.